This is the ARM 4.5-inch downpipe that is going to be going on my GLI. If you guys have been following along with the build, you'll know that this is my Vortex-powered GLI. This car has a ton of mods, including fuel pumps, 5-bar sensors, blaze intake, the Vortex standard turbo sitting right back there, and what we're going to be swapping out today, which is my current CTS catted downpipe. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is a 4.5-inch catless downpipe. And going from a 3.5-inch catted downpipe to this allow for a lot more turbo noises, a lot less wastegate duty cycle, improved airflow, and everything in between. But what I'm honestly most excited for is really just to see how the sound difference is going to be. I love the way the car sounds now. It does have a lot of turbo noise, but I just have the feeling that when we do it catless, the turbo noises are going to be really, really cool. Now, before we get to actually installing the downpipe, let's kind of go over with what you get. Obviously, you get the downpipe itself, which looks really, really crazy. You get this 3-inch reducer and a 2.5-inch reducer and the V-band to obviously clamp this to the back end of the downpipe and be able to hook it up to your catback. Now, we are going to be using the 3-inch adapter because we chopped off the end of our MBRP catback, which had the 2.5-inch reducer, and we put a resonator there and then put a little bit of pipe to extend it out to be able to connect to the catback. Now, I'm really hoping that this is going to fit without any additional piping modifications, but my buddy Jake, which you guys will see in a second, Pearl GLI, he is going to come by and bring us a saw, so that way, in case it needs to happen, we can cut it. Now, before we get into the actual install portion, I do want to give a huge thank you to ARM for actually sending over this downpipe and making this video possible. If you guys don't know who ARM Motorsports are, they make a ton of different parts, Volkswagen, Audi, BMW, stuff like that. Stuff that you Euro boys want. So if you want to go check this downpipe out, the link is down below, or their website, which will also be down below, I guess. Anyways, let's get into the install. Now, the first thing we are going to have to do is actually jack up the car, but pause on that for a second. We are just going to loosen that V-band right there, so that way the downpipe is basically a little bit loose up top. Now, for this part, you are going to need an 8mm triple square, so that's what we got right here. Now, I didn't take off the V-band all the way, but it is nice and loose, so that way when we go under the car to loosen it from the bottom side, which we'll show you guys in a second, it's not just going to straight up fall off, which we don't really want it to do that because it might hit our head. Anyways, at this point, we need to jack up the car, so that's what we're going to do next. So under here, we're gonna have to do two things. We have to A, pop the downpipe out of these red rubber grommets, and then we also have to actually disconnect this slip fit clamp right here, because that is actually what's connecting our catback to our exhaust, which you can see right there. It's a little rough, but it'll work. So that's what we gotta do next. Wow. That came off super duper easy. All right, now that the bottom's loose, we can pretty much just undo the V-band up here, and we should be able to get it loose and then wiggle it off the exhaust hangers from down below. I can't reach it, so it's all you. So this was already pretty challenging to get out of the car, and honestly, I'm not 100% sure how well this is gonna go getting in there from the bottom, but we are going to try it. And I was told, apparently it's easier if you take off the bracket with the grommets and stuff and then put it on the downpipe before you actually put it in the car. So we are gonna try doing it that way, but we're gonna get it in one way or another, so let's do it. All right, so we just popped this out, and that was done with two 13mm bolts, some Diddy D40. All right, there we go.
There we go.
All right.
All right.
All right. We got the new downpipe in, and honestly, it was really hard to film this, but essentially, me and Jake were able to do it. He was on the bottom. Pause.
Whoa.
All right. So what we had to do was, once we got the old downpipe out, by the way, you don't need the O2 sensor from the old downpipe in your stock downpipe, because this one actually has a bung, and it is a 22mm socket that you use to tighten that down, so that we don't even have to worry about the O2 sensor, which is pretty nice. To get the downpipe in, you have to basically have it like level, slide it in, and then you're gonna rotate it, like the bottom end of the downpipe that connects to the catback has to be facing the driver's side, and then naturally the top end, this part right here, is going to kind of come towards the passenger side. So if you can imagine it, it's straight, you know, like this, and then you're able to basically just kind of like wiggle and turn it up, and it'll eventually kind of work its way up. It took us about 15 minutes together, just kind of like wiggling it, but the rule of thumb is just kind of try and do it how you got the old one out. And honestly, it shouldn't be too difficult for y'all. The other part worth noting is that we also ended up taking that bracket that connects to the frame of the car. That was hand tight, and then we hand tightened the V-band up top. It was pretty snug, but we were able to basically get it all kind of mocked up in place and then just tighten everything down real tight. So should be good now to essentially try and connect our custom exhaust to the ARM downpipe. We're gonna be using these two things right here to connect that together, and we are gonna have to cut this and Sharpie mark it so that way we have enough, you know, clearance together. And then we are going to be using our APR slip fit clamp right here that we had beforehand and connecting it all together with that. That slip fit's important because basically gonna let it slip together and create a seal around the two pipes because it's the same size. All right, well, the downpipe is on and we are going to go ahead and give it its first start. Are you guys ready? I know I am.
Dude, I heard that too. That was looking awesome. Oh, no.
I think it's time to go for a drive.
It's time to go to Mexico.
It's time to go to Mexico. Oh, it shoots flames. Dude, this is wild. Good morning. So it is the next day. We obviously got done installing the downpipe last night, but it was pretty late, so I didn't really feel like filming a whole outro and everything. But we did take the car out. We got a cold start. We got my initial impressions of it. Honestly, this downpipe did exactly what I expected it to do. It made the turbo a lot louder. It made like a really nice turbo decel sound now, shoots fireballs, and honestly, it's just good. That's what I wanted. So I'm very, very happy with this. I guess in the next video, we'll kind of do a lot more sound comparisons and a lot more clips. So stay tuned if you guys want to see that. And also if you guys want to see kind of like the performance side of things, like we're gonna hopefully do a log review pretty soon here and just kind of see how this affected my current tune file, even though it is a bit hotter right now. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but we are gonna look into that. If you guys are curious about that, make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment this video, and go check out ARM down below. And thank you again for sending out this downpipe. So peace out, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Adios.